What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to rank the family members in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So this is going to go based off of who gives you the best chance at winning. I think when it all comes down to it, I'll tell you my overall kind of favorite team to assemble, but overall, the top are obviously going to be people that you want to play as more. The bottom, you don't really need them on the team. Leatherface is tough, and because he's required, I can't put him, and I'm sure some people want me to put him pretty low on this list. I got to put him about middle of it. As we'll go through it, you'll find out, but it's because he needs to be in the match. So starting out at number 5, I'm going to put Johnny. I've warmed up to him a little bit. I've seen people play very, very well as him. I think just what it comes down to is, again, the necessity. Do you absolutely need him on your team? No. The finding the footprints thing can be pretty darn good, and he is very powerful, right? If he gets a couple hits on you, you're pretty much dead. But again, it's really his mobility, right? He can't move around nearly as well. I mean, it's basically him and the cook, and I think the cook's abilities are just far superior. So you can do well as Johnny, no doubt, but as I've talked about in kind of family tips and tricks videos, I think you can actually get away from Johnny relatively easy, if not maybe the easiest of all of the killers, maybe Cook, along with him. So if you have Johnny, you kind of need somebody else with him, whereas if you're playing as other people, you don't do that. So I need to put him on the bottom of the list, mainly for that. Even the footprint tracking is good, but if you think about it, the longer the survivors or victims are in the basement, the longer that his abilities actually don't do anything or not beneficial whatsoever, right? Because you can't track them if you're not down there. You're not allowed to go down there. So you're basically waiting around, waiting for them to come up, and then you can start. And that puts his ability, even though it's powerful, everybody else can be doing something when they're still locked down with Leatherface. He can't do anything. Number 4, I'm going to put the Hitchhiker. There's really a big gap here between 5 and 4. Okay, so I really do like the Hitchhiker. Don't look at it as like the Hitchhiker's terrible. Really, really good. I would just prefer the other speedster, the other person that can kind of hang with the victims, being Sissy in this case. But Hitchhiker is very good. Obviously, I just kind of said one of his greatest strengths is being able to get from point A to point B. I love these characters. I think if you can kind of hang one-on-one with the victims, yes, you deal much less damage, right? In terms of Sissy, in terms of Hitchhiker, you're not going to deal nearly as much damage. But if you can hang with them better, in my opinion, better than anybody else, well, then you don't really need to do a lot of damage, right? You just stay with them. You can deal a ton. You may have abilities that maybe highlight them or light them up. Other people might come in to help you. You're probably going to get them. And obviously, the idea of the traps, right? Hitchhiker's got the traps. Pretty okay. Now, obviously, it's pretty easy to disarm them, but hey, you could do it like a Friday the 13th thing back in the day, right? Jason going to the electricity box and all that stuff. You can do that here too. You can trap the generator and all that jazz. Again, it's not guaranteed, and you'll obviously be notified when things go off. You just won't know which one was set off, but it is pretty powerful. I mean, if you can get a victim in it, that's pretty good. Honestly, though, the amount of times that I've trapped somebody is pretty darn low. Even the amount of times that I've sprung a trap or done it in the first place or actually got trapped is relatively low. Again, Hitchhiker's here mainly because of his mobility. Number 3, I'm going to put Leatherface. I know I teased in the beginning. I know Leatherface is not everybody's favorite, and you can actually almost statistically prove this by going into lobbies, right? A lot of people don't really want to play as Leatherface, even though he's required. And I think it's because maybe of like the damage output, and you can get relatively close damage with other people. He is also not the greatest moving around. Now, he's got incredible stamina, so he can run basically for days, but he just can't get around much. And some of these maps, I think particularly like the gas station or slaughterhouse, there's a couple, and there's parts really in all 3 maps that are just an absolute pain in the butt. And I don't know who designed these houses or designed these in general, like in the lore, not necessarily in the game. I don't know who designed it, but it wasn't meant for Leatherface, right? Because he can't really do any of it. So big negative with movement, but obviously big positive with if you rev up the chainsaw, you hit people. I mean, you can do some very, very high damage. And then the fact that you need to play as him, right? And he's locked in the basement. I mean, look, he is very powerful, and I actually love playing as Leatherface. I think if you can keep them in the basement for as much time as humanly possible, maybe even you try to eliminate one of them, that can massively, massively help the team out. I guess also his harvesting is a big problem, whereas even Hitchhiker is very good at harvesting. Again, you need Leatherface. Leatherface. So he has to kind of be in the top 3. It's just where was he going to be? He's going to be number 3. Number 2, I'm putting Sissy. She's my preferred of the 2, Hitchhiker and her. To be honest, there's not that much of a difference. It's really the ability, right? They both deal less damage kind of on average. They're both capable of hanging with the other person. I think Sissy talks more, she'll sing to herself in the environment and stuff. But no, the thing that really differentiates them is Hitchhiker with the traps and Sissy with the poison. I find it to just be overall a little bit better. I think people just generally don't pay attention. I mean, I don't either, right? You'll pick up the health thing and you'll use it and then you'll be poisoned. You'll alert Sissy. You'll be all over the place, kind of. I think her poison ability is actually pretty cool. It's limited. It's very, very limited, but I think her combination of she can hang. She's a very good, again, like harvester, much like the Hitchhiker is. And then I like her poison ability. And I don't know, it's probably myself getting in my own head in a positive way. I do incredible. Whenever I'm playing as Sissy, either the team does incredible or I do incredible and I kind of carry the team. So it's a personal thing probably, but she's definitely in my top 2. And number 1, I really don't think there's going to be much backlash with this, is the cook. It really is the cook. I didn't necessarily see this on my bingo card, leading into this game. But look, let's go over pretty much every strength, and it is almost everything. The stamina is the only weakness, right? I mean, maybe we can start there. Let's start with the weaknesses. Stamina, and that's it. Because the hearing ability is incredibly good. Now, it's sensitive. Sometimes you can hear Leatherface. Sometimes you can hear the generator, right? Like, it'll pick up the wrong things. But you can find them relatively easily with the hearing. And the only issue is, if you have the base ability at, I believe, not like level 3, it only highlights it for you. So you have to communicate, right? Like, if you're the cook, at least starting out, you can find pretty much everybody all the time. Like, the ability recharges fast. It lasts forever. So you can find people really quickly, and then you communicate where they are to everybody else. And then I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think once you max out the base thing, I think it unlocks it for everybody. So if you spot somebody, it'll be spotted for everybody. That's incredibly powerful. And then the locks. I mean, the padlocks are the greatest thing in the world for the family. I really believe that. And the more I play this game, the more I see the difference between a family group that does not have the cook and a family group that does have the cook. I'm telling you right now, having the cook immediately makes you 10 times harder to play against, simply because there's only so many exits. Now, you're never going to be able to get them all, right? In the family house, you can lock the main doors, and you can lock maybe 1 gate, but that's kind of it. In the gas station, there's 4 gates. You can only lock 3, right? So you're not going to be able to get all of them, but specifically, I guess, the family house, if you have a cook, it's mandatory that you lock those doors, and you can keep everybody in a very small radius. Even the gas station, even the slaughterhouse, if you lock the right doors, the whole point, and I've talked about this again in the tips and tricks, you want to keep the victims in one little area, and the cook is the absolute best family member at keeping people in one small group because of those locks. They take so much longer, obviously, to get through than if you don't have them. And again, just the more I play, both as victims and family members, you can just tell. If you don't have him, you're in danger of the victims escaping a lot faster than if you do. So I think he's honestly mandatory. And so in terms of my group, it has to be Leatherface, right? And then I would run with Cook and Sissy. Now, I think Sissy and Hitchhiker can be interchanged. I don't really, again, I've seen good Johnnies, but I'm going to be mean a little bit to it. I don't think you need it. I think if you're going to do like a slower character, to which there's 2, and I guess Leatherface would maybe be 3, if you have a slow character, I think it should be the Cook. If you go in with the Cook and Johnny, I've seen that work. I've also seen it not work because you really don't have anybody that can hang with them. Again, I think that's why Sissy or Hitchhiker obviously comes in use so much. So my dream team personally, Leatherface, Cook, Sissy, we normally dominate with that trio. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure as always you're subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you want to follow or support me anywhere else, all my social media links are in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next one.